When we look at our short-run cost and revenue curves for a perfect competition, we always start by, of course, looking for MR and where it intersects MC here. Setting up, we need to bring this area down, and we call this QPM. This is the quantity of profit maximization. But really, we're looking for three pieces of information. We need to know what's the revenue, so we bring that over and call it AR. We need to know what are the total costs, so we go up to the average total cost curve and across. And in this case, since there's average variable cost, we also want to see what they are. So what you see is that we're creating rectangles. There's three of them, and maybe, well, there's three things that we'll say that are important. This lowest rectangle is the size of the AVC. This rectangle in between, so up from AVC up to ATC and across, this rectangle is the total costs, and the total revenue is average revenue and down. But it can be kind of hard to see, but let's look at this another way. This rectangle is the same as the rectangle I have here in green. Total fixed costs are shown in yellow, and the total variable costs are shown in blue. The two of those added together are equal to the total costs. So now that we have these, our curves are kind of extra, and maybe since they're confusing, maybe we can just get rid of them and instead make some conclusions or comparisons just with the size of these boxes. So if we look at our total revenue and compare it to the size of our total variable cost, well, we can see that the total revenue is going to pay for all of the total variable costs. So we can take those and just kind of put them underneath. But once we add in our total fixed costs to get to total cost altogether, if we put those and combine them together with total variable costs, then we see that the total revenue isn't going to pay for all of those, it's only going to pay for a portion of those. And that's why in this situation, this little bit of yellow that's hanging off the top, that's going to be the amount of loss that we see in this situation. So if I operate at a loss, I continue to lose that much money. What happens if I shut down? Well, sure, I lose my total variable costs, they go away, but so does my total revenue. Therefore, since my total revenue was paying for some of my total fixed costs, and now it's paying for none of my total fixed costs, in this case, it's not a good decision to shut down. It would be better to operate at a loss. But what if my total revenue is a smaller figure? Now, the total revenue isn't even going to pay for all of the total variable costs. So in this situation, the total revenue is paying for some of the total variable costs and none of the total fixed costs. So my loss is the whole amount of my total fixed costs, but it's also some amount of my total variable cost. So in this case, it would be better to shut down because, yeah, I would lose my total revenue, which is bad, but I would also lose my total variable costs, which is good. And the amount of money I would be losing here, the TFC, would be a smaller amount than in the previous example.